Interesting scripture from Paul as he tells us about putting on the armor of God. A week ago Saturday, I drove to Erin. I had to deliver my son's birthday present. My son is a strong Eagle fan, so we had to buy him an Eagle winter jacket that he could wear at the arena for the kids when they go to their hockey games. And while I was there, the boys, 7 and 8, Zach and Ben, were playing on their electronic games. And I was amazed that one of the games that they were playing was one that I had known as a child, well, a young person. And that was Pac-Man. Do you remember Pac-Man? Yeah. And I thought, isn't that interesting that they've regenerated this and brought it back for the kids? And I said, do you know Mario? And they said, oh yeah, and they plugged in another one, and there was a new Mario, an updated version of Mario. And I thought, hey, I could understand this sort of thing. This is a lot different than the ones where there's guns shooting all over the place and mass destruction happening and heroes. And I thought, isn't that fascinating that those games have lasted all those time? Now, if you remember, Pac-Man was a very simple game. It was this little object that went along and ate the things in front of it, and if it got to a certain stage, it got some points, and yet we played that for ages and ages. We thought that was a fantastic game. I mean, that was way ahead of its time. It sure beat the games that we had on our Commodore 64. Do you remember the Commodore 64? Anyone have those? I remember getting one of those for the kids, and of course, you had to program the games. So you bought this program book, and you'd put in the numbers, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 0, and you go to play it, and it wouldn't work. And I turned to my daughter, who had been about 12 at that point, and said, I don't know what to do. I said, I put it all in. And she said, well, I'll phone John. Now, John was a classmate of hers that was, I don't know, maybe he was 12, 13. And this red-headed kid comes running in, and he looks at the thing, and he sets it up, and he says, oh, Mr. Hudson, you got too many zeros right here. Too many zeros. He took the 3 zeros out. The game worked. Now, the game was very complicated. It was a tennis game. The ball went up and over, and you hit it again, and it came back and forth and back. And the kids watched that for, I don't know, half an hour sort of time at the time. All black and white, of course, back in those days. Now, Pac-Man was in a color. Had to buy a special machine to run those games. And when I read this morning, or the other day, Thursday actually, when I was working on this, I thought to myself, Paul is writing a game for the electronic industry. How could he be so far ahead? I mean, this was the time of Jesus. But you could put this into an electronic game. So I thought, well, what would it look like? Well, it would start off with a person like me at the start, likely taking a selfie and having it inserted so you became in the game. And it would bounce along a bit, following a trail, and it would come to a Y. And there would be a signpost up there, 2 of them. One would say I, one would say we. Well, what would you do? There's only one of me, so I'd take the I. And off I'd go on the I. And as I went along the I, it got darker and darker. And then I got into this valley. And all of a sudden, I was attacked by these clouds, these spirits. They would just come down and bombard me. And I would knock them away, but I couldn't keep them away. And gradually, my image became dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, to the extent that I no longer existed on the screen. And then all of a sudden, the game would stop and it would restart. And there I would be again at the start. So I thought, okay, let's push the button. And off we go. We went down and we got to the fork in the road, and there was the I and the we. This time I took the road on the right, which was the re. And I realized as I was walking along that I was getting brighter. I was feeling better. And all of a sudden I came to a tent. And there in that tent, there was an angel. And that angel gave me a belt. And that angel said, "This is the belt of truth. Keeps your pants up." I said, "Oh, hey, I need that. Constant problem keeping my pants up." So I went along a little further. Now, once in a while, I would get a spirit coming in. And I could bat it away because I had the belt of truth on. I came to the next tent. And the angel was there. And she says, "God has given me the task of giving you the breastplate of righteousness." "Oh," I said, "that's great, a breastplate. Just what I always wanted." So I put on my breastplate, and I started to look like the little image that's in the front of your bulletin. Did you notice a little image in the front of your bulletin? Let me introduce you to Sir Goodness. Sir Goodness. And I became Sir Goodness. I had now my breastplate on. And that's the breastplate of righteousness. And as I went along a little further, another tent came up. Now, mind you, I still had a couple of attacks by the spirits, but I was able to knock them off, and I put up my righteousness, and they quickly ran away, or floated away. And at this tent, the angel said, "I'm going to give you the shoes of peace that are found in the Gospels." I now had the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of truth as I went walking along my journey. And you know, I was feeling lighter all the time, and I was feeling better. I could knock those things away. I came to the next tent, and there the angel said to me, "I am presenting you from God the helmet of salvation." Well, who could be more saved than a blue jay? I mean, I ask you. We need all the salvation we can get as blue jays. And I walked along further. Now you remember, everything I'm doing at this point is defensive. I'm getting towards the end, but I'm still being very defensive. I come to the next tent. And the angel says, "I give you the sword of the Spirit. You will shoot away and strike down every evil one, causing them to implode to nothingness with this sword. They will smoke. It is the power." Now, for the first time, I felt that I could attack these evil spirits. And I did that through the word of the gospel, the word of written and spoken language. I was able to get rid of certain things. And Sir Goodness got rid of envy, jealousy, hatred, lies, broken promises, bigotry. And as they would appear as spirits, they would all be different colors in the game. They would attempt to attack Sir Goodness, but Sir Goodness could always cut them away. And we hit them with the sword. They went poof, and they were gone. until you could get to the very place you were supposed to be going, which was the open arms of Jesus at the gate of heaven. I think we could package this. I think we could make this into a fantastic game. If we could get Dave to do some of his creative computer stuff, we could package this and we could put it out through all the churches and all the kids we get involved, and they'd understand some of the ideas that are within the gospel. Now, we would obviously put copyright on it so we could get a good return. But Paul was speaking to you and me and telling us that God has equipped us to travel this dangerous world that we live in and meet the everyday evils. And he has given each of one of us the belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes that are found in the gospel, the shield that will extinguish the arrows and flames of evil ones, the helmet of salvation, and the sword, the mighty sword, the sword that will write a new script, a new whole concept. Yes, folks, it's possible. We can do it.